Here we go. Hi, loves. Okay, hi. Sophia Wiseone, David Wilcox, and we're going to be doing a live recording right now, a hangout, for the Medicine Caller podcast. So we're just
The medicine
caller,
caller. Okay.
like
That's
calling
cool.
the medicine.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That's what's
That's
happening.
just as a musician, I would say don't say it so fast because there's a lot in those two words.
Medicine caller.
Yeah.
The medicine caller.
Yeah, and it's hard because you call. It's really have to be careful with that vowel because otherwise it's like a thing that your dog wears.
Right. People think it's a collar. That's the true medicine collar, and then also people think it's a what's the other one? Oh, the other one. This was only once. Someone was like color, like culling.
Color. Yeah, color. Which
or
color is it?
Color.
Aquamarine. It's
Okay, so
very rare.
here's mine. I'm gonna share this.
I'm not finding anything.
It's
on
not
here.
up yet.
It's not up yet.
I mean, it's up on mine. It just hasn't popped up on yours. So let's see. Wait, why am I? That's not what that's supposed to. Whatever. It's fine. Whatever.
It says something wrong.
Okay. No, just mine's not working. So maybe just reload it. Yeah, because those are recent. Maybe just like.
What do you mean reload?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Pull down?
Yeah, like pull down and make it do it.
Right.
Yeah, like a
the
reload thing.
spinny thing.
Yeah. So in a second, I'm gonna do my like formal kind of like there it is. That's it.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I click on this.
You're gonna click on that,
And then I do share.
and then you're gonna share.
Huh. All right. Now I shut this off.
Wait. You didn't do it yet. Right post.
Right post. Left post.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
So you could just share it if you want. You can write a message or you just hit post.
Post.
Perfect.
Thing.
Okay. All right. Hi, friends. Welcome. Sophia Wiseone here, Medicine Caller podcast. And
Good.
even for you like that good delivery.
Really good.
So, doing these live Facebook lives of the show these days because I just want to be in more connection with people, just like more in it. And so a wild thing is, so a lot of those are Facebook. What's happening?
Your headphones
my
are
head.
delayed.
They're delayed.
You can unplug them.
Yeah, just quiet. So I'm traveling through. You can play along.
Okay.
Traveling through, stopping to see beloved, dear family, national treasure, and sacred medicine family humans in my life. Just stopping by for a few days. 10 days ago. Just swinging through town. And now we have wiped down dance parties and are living together. And so this podcast right now, this moment, we're on a couch. We're in the house together, which is such a treasure. So what a wild
It's
world.
a great house to be locked down in, don't you think?
Oh, I don't think there's so few. Yes is the answer.
It
Yes.
happened to Nate, too. Nate came by for a visit and suddenly, whoop, it's like, oh!
Shut the doors.
Yeah.
So yeah, glory is really graciousness, mercy. I think I've
Yeah.
been healing here. I've really been,
Oh, good.
really been healing here. It's,
good.
I would say, every day my heart and my womb are more full of life.
Wow.
Yeah, really restoring from the deep well that never runs dry.
That's beautiful. I have really enjoyed this time, this focused kind of meditative time. My gigs are canceled, so I have time. I woke up at 4 this morning and had another song in my head, and that's 3 songs in 3 days. And it's very satisfying. Yesterday I wrote the only song I know of that's about the World Health Organization. And it's kind of groovy. It's got a swamp kind of feel, and I love it. and it's and then today I just minutes ago finished recording a song about the influence that we have on each other. So we're seeing that with, this idea of what we spread in the little particles in our breath. But what affects us so much all the time is the story that we're telling in the back of our mind about the way the world is.
No.
One time I was going through airport security, and I had been having a lovely day. I was way early. I'm always early for my flight. And I was listening to wonderful music on the way to the airport, and suddenly I noticed that I'm anxious, and I'm feeling like, a little scared, a little angry, a little frustrated. And it was unusual to me because I thought, there's absolutely nothing for me to be upset about. It felt like I was experiencing someone else's emotion. And I looked around me and I realized I was.
That's exactly what was happening.
I was in the TSA line. And the person in front of me was angry, and the person behind me was angry, and the person behind them was frightened, and I was just breathing it. So my song that I just finished recording is all about sort of how we spread our vibe, our emotion. And it's sort of like we have a wake, like a boat has a wake. And it jostles all the other boats on the river. It's a fun song. I should play it.
Yeah, play it.
I'm going to have to get my phone because it's, I just rewrote it. And when you rewrite a song, that's the hardest to learn because I have all the memories of the way it was earlier today, and now all those lines are different. So you're in charge of scrolling.
Okay, I'll be in charge of scrolling. But the other thing that I want to say is...
yes?
Well, what you just said, which is, it's the hardest to rewrite a song that you already...
This applies to changing our habits,
That's
doesn't
right.
it?
Yes, this is what I'm...
Neural pathways.
Yes, exactly. It's the hardest to change a pattern that's already there and alive rather than just creating a new one. We think that creating a new one, doing something new is so hard, but it's actually the alteration of what we're used to doing that is the jump. Once we're into new territory, that's like that zone, that flow state. There's a lot of ease in that space.
If you haven't traveled it, it's a road without ruts. You can turn.
Say it again.
If you haven't traveled it, it's a road without ruts.
You can turn.
Yeah. So, picture like a feisty kid. He's being a little rambunctious for inside. His mom's yelled at him already. Superman flies. He's so cool. Heroes fight evil with powers. But we stay inside 'cause there's no school. So we fight the boredom for hours. But it's true that every human on the planet is affected by each action we take. So don't touch your faith, don't leave your place. Stay home for everyone's sake. This is the time to turn. This is the time to learn. Each of us alters our fate. It happened so fast. The world is vast. All of us breathe the same air. Our hearts catch that pain that still remains behind every mask we wear. And a vicious thought can travel around the planet, a message read the instant that it leaves. If your words do harm, use your arm, speak them into your sleep. This is the time to turn. This is the time to learn. Work for the good you believe. All through the crowd, you can feel that cloud, the ambient mood round your head. Those contagions remain, and each new strain now has a chance to spread. Positive emotions can go viral, affecting how humanity will feel. And all that we share will linger there and hopefully help us heal. This is the time to turn. This is the time to learn. The wake that you're making is real. The change that you're making is real. It's especially fun singing that for you because you totally get it. There's a whole lot of people that would listen to that song and say, is it about sneezing?
No. In a way, right? It's that, you know, what comes to me, aside from just the wave that moves through the heart that says it's real, like the danger is in our perspective. You know, I've been saying this, I've had a very kind of mortality focused kind of winter into spring. And so I've had a lot of moments where I've said in complete sincerity and peace, like, I will either be so faithful or dead. I was saying that in January and I think February, that place, like that real place of like what I'm turning through, what's turning through me, how I'm witnessing, like what I'm seeing and the meaning I'm making of it is so at the edge of what I previously thought I could handle or could experience or could know to be true. And so the process of coming through that is like, well, I'll either have faith that is so much faith, right? Or I will have, for me, you know, I have like a very deep faith. It's like, or I'll drop my body and that will be its own piece. And so the real fear or the real pain landscape is something actually between those two options. Mm-hmm. Like between being so faithful or between dropping my body. Staying here and being faithless is the scariest.
Oh, yes.
That's the scariest thought.
Oh, it's so fun because I have this sweet nostalgia of a time in my life when I was right there. And I was kind of in this sort of do or die sort of thing about, for me, it showed up as I could live a life that's kind of expected of me and sort of be in this cryogenic slumber. Or I could try to be alive and see if it killed me. And
so I have to it's like hold up, because it's like my bubs, my listeners, the depth of to be myself, right? To be the medicine, to push the current, or to be the salmon, to swim upstream, it's so real. And I just, one of our other beloved friends, Caitlin, mad props, right? The work of confronting our ancestral or inherited silent shrink, stay down aches, right? So that place of it's very real, and it can be high drama or it cannot be high drama, but it's like, I think that's what your song is about. Like, it's real. Like, how we're choosing to either be who we are, which means giving up the conditioning and giving up the lies we've been told and giving up a lineal bond, which I think is really important to talk about and name and recognize as real, is like, I have separated myself from my ancestral inheritance when I said, I will not perpetuate this kind of abuse.
Yeah.
There's like there was a separation. Now, have I experienced a deeper connection in love and a richer relationship with all of my ancestors? Yes. Have I experienced a healing that is offered to them as well? So that it's like I said no to that lineage, but I say yes to you as ancestors, right? I say it's like I say no to that behavior, but I'm actually saying yes to me as a being.
That's so cool. Wow. Yeah. It's fascinating to me because the way it seems at the time is I've got to cut them off, right? And yet the weird part is once that cut is done, the thing that's gone was a part of you. And so the connection with them is somehow fresh and able to be seen with a clarity.
Yes.
Because it's not always looking through that the way it used to be thing.
You know,
God, I want to get better at that.
Okay.
I want to get better at that. I'm still holding ideas.
I can see it.
It's exhausting. I was talking about this with Nance. She's loving this book that we're going to talk about this afternoon.
Yeah.
And do you remember the name of that book?
Untethered Soul.
Oh, yes. And it's about the same thing, about like being aware of the story we're telling about a thing that makes us react. So, yeah, there's, I would say most of my energy, I was going to say psychic energy, but I'll say most of my energy I waste in dramatizing something from the past. just in the back of my mind, just showing this little film, projecting it against the world. And oh man, I have a really interesting song about that.
Do it.
Where's my phone?
Did I throw it? I gave it back to you.
It's always good to throw it.
A little toss. A little tossy toss.
This is a song I could just as soon read as sing. It's fascinating to me. Let's see if I can remember the name of it. It's something about... Oh, I know. So you know how when you're a kid and you're watching a movie in a big theater and it's a scary movie, you get upset and you kind of like grab onto mom or dad and you say, I'm scared. And they say, well, my dad said, see the red sign over there? See that? That's the exit. If you want, you can just like open that door a crack and look at the outside, and that'll help you remember that it's just a movie. So the rest of my life, I've been looking for that door. So check this out.
Have you found it?
Yes. I actually am getting much better at it.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Those doors are everywhere.
Check this out.
Yeah.
An old movie house, still standing empty, all boarded up on a dead-end street. My darkest doubts are there to tempt me, sunk down inside those dusty seats. Inside my mind, in 2 dimensions, my fears will play on how I feel. That flickering lie will build the tension, and I brace for pain like it was real. Inside my mind, in 2 dimensions, the fears will play on how I feel. I can't stop the scene from playing. Trying ain't worth dying for. It won't change, but I'm not staying. I just found the outside door.
Hey!
The old film that rolls? I know the story. For all my years, it's been the same. It shows my old moment of glory fall to my fear and find my shame. It leaves my heart empty and shallow. No happy end and no relief. Lost in that dark, my cave of shadow, I will suspend my disbelief. But standing in the morning wonder, it's like I never seen the sky before. I broke the spell that I was under. I just found the outside door. No silver screen, no satin curtain. My state of mind plays this whole show. Each scene will seem as if I'm certain I'm trapped inside with nowhere to go. That movie's mine, and I project it. I try to scream, but have no voice. Follow the sign, the outside exit. I can walk free. I have a choice. Standing in the morning wonder, never seen the sun before. Broke the spell that I was under. I just found the outside door.
Yes. Yes.
That's so fun.
That's so fun.
To me, that was like, I was immersed in Eckhart for like 6 months, and that song sort of came out. For me, songwriting has always been a way to sort of get really quiet and wait and listen. And if my heart has something to say, I can sort of abide in that emotion and gather words that resonate, and slowly I can assemble the message that my heart's trying to tell my mind in a logic that I can hear, in a visual that can get me sort of in that sort of experience. So it's not just an idea, but it's something I can go through and feel, and it becomes a teacher for me. Each song that matters to me is something I'm still approaching, not something that I've already passed.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I love that. The way that you describe that, like, quiet and that listening, it's also how I feel when I'm listening for listening. I think that's the point, like listening. So when I'm working with someone's body, it's that same, it's like I'm like listening, and then the words, or when I'm coaching, when I'm doing virtual like mentoring or coaching, it's the same thing. It's like I'm listening with my whole being, and then from that place there's this like translation, there's this piece that comes through, these elements that come through in a way like it's like literally a processing system, right? It's like literally these like elements where it's like this, there's this whole thing, but it's somehow not clear or coherent. And so to have it come through in pieces so that it can kind of find its coherency. Yeah.
I love when I talk to my friend Gareth about a movie, I love applying the movie as if by some mystical choreography of the coincidence, unknown to the producer or the actors, there was actually a message in that movie just for me, just for now. And so I love to show up to movies like that and say, how does this apply? You know, what's the reason why I was drawn here? And of course the magic is, don't just do it with movies.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that practice of, it's really an act of radical trust. Like it's radical self-trust to be listening, and trusting that you are somewhere for a reason. I'm somewhere for a reason. There's something that's here for me, and that I'm capable of receiving it and participating in whatever that is. Right. I think that is, I like to say, practice makes practiced. Right? So you get very practiced at something. And so it's like the ability to trust that there's value in your, it's like, it doesn't maybe, I think it inherently holds a requirement of a kind of self-value that maybe develops over time. Like, I don't know, it's like, it doesn't need to be there consciously, but I think it has it, like to take the radical perspective or the playful perspective that this film that somebody else made, this song that somebody else made, this whatever, that there's something in there for me. Right? It's like I have to, it's like I'm real enough. I'm here enough. I'm part of the thread enough that that's true. And it is true. Like it just is. I mean, that's why art works. That's why we make it and we want it with each other. That's why we share it with each other, you know, because
it's so fun for me to hear like the word trust, because I could get on board with playful.
Yeah.
But when I step into the words that you were saying about, like, in order to really see what's manifesting as if it is a sweet little gift wrapped up in a adversity disguise.
Or treasure trove.
Right.
Either.
In order for me to see that,
Yeah.
I have to believe that I sort of am not important enough, but matter enough. Mm-hmm. That's a place my imagination has not gone yet. But maybe that's because as a kid, I made that wild assumption. I was kind of a loner, and I did have that strange sort of view of the world of sort of appreciating everything showing up. Wow, I'm right at the edge of my language. As a kid, it did feel like this was a show that was happening for me. Uh-huh. Almost as if I had a friend who said, do you notice that some of the extras repeat? And I said to her, what do you mean? She was a theater major, so she spoke a lot in that theatrical sort of metaphor. She said, when I go to a different city, I see some of the same extras on the set. And so to me, that's a worldview where everything happening could be inside my mind.
Right.
And so, but I wouldn't go to like important with that. To me, the way I always sort of interpreted that was some sort of crazy, playful universe. Because I assumed it was that way for everybody. I don't know if that's really true as a kid, but that's how the words are making sense now.
When you talk about playful or trust, the way that those are pinned to kind of this, like, I'm important or it's playful, mm-hmm. that it really reveals to me whether that's something that I've cultivated or whether it's just my nature, that I'm like, no, they're one and the same. Mm-hmm. For me to be in that deep playful space is this one of the root teachings that I talk about is I'm made of space and matter. Mm-hmm. I take up space and I matter. Mm. Right? And so it's like, for me to be in that playful state, I have to be in an activated, not a conscious, not like I'm choosing to matter, but I have to be in an active state of taking up space and mattering, to play, to be touched by, to make contact with, to...
This is all like perfect theater direction. Do you know what I mean?
That is like a huge
This is
part
what
of my
you
background.
say to the mild-mannered actor who needs to step into her part, you know? You say, you know, this scene was written for you. You are the catalyst that changes everything. So when you walk to your mark, consume it. You know, stand in that place. What a wild way to live. That'd be so fun. I can do that. I learned so much from music, and I can do that when I play music because I do this little imaginative trick. Many years ago, I used to be super nervous. I used to ruin a set of strings in, one set. I could play 8 songs and the strings would be completely dead.
Oh, babe.
Because I was sweating, and I was a nervous sweat, and it killed the strings. So I came to the guitar and I said, I want a bright tone. What do I have to do? And the guitar says, can't sweat, man. And I said, well, what would have to change if I didn't sweat? Well, you can't be nervous. But I am nervous. Why are you nervous? Because I feel like I don't deserve to be up there. Mm. Examine that question. Hey, Dave, do you deserve to be up there? Up where? Up in front of all those people. Ah, you don't deserve that, but that's not the right question. Well, what's the right question? Well, it's not what you deserve. What do they deserve? Mm. They came from perfectly comfortable living rooms to feel something tonight. And if you're all they got, best you can do is get out of your way. How can you do that? Oh, well, just concentrate on what they deserve. and concentrate on the fact that I've felt these songs and I know that they're real. So then I'm not up there. Well, what are you doing then? Well, it's like this. It's like New Mexico. There's a bean field. It's dry. Here's the little water canal.
An acequia.
Here is a valve.
Uh-huh.
All I got to do is like do this. Mm-hmm. Am I moving any water? No. Gravity's doing that. And the whole field gets nurtured and everything grows. The whole audience feels like, wow, Dave had so much to offer. Dave was standing there with his hand on the valve saying, come on, songs. And that made it possible for me to ask the right question and not distract myself with this weird thing about like, what do I deserve? So I could just stand in the authority of the music, knowing that I had felt it and it was good. And the trick was, every time that worked, I would say to myself, that's what I want in my life.
Yes.
I don't want to just play songs, you know. I want the songs to somehow teach me how to do that. Where is that switch? How do you stand in that place where you can open and just know water flows, you know? We all have that. It's such a gift when we get to, you know, like drag someone out of a burning building because it's so obvious. They're going to die. I'm right here. I can do this, you know? And then you do it and it's like, oh, that felt so good. But like every moment I'm like on the shuttle bus going to the rental car, I think there's a guy beside me who I could speak 5 words. Mm-hmm. And I could speak them sort of into the middle distance. And I could sense what words he needed. And I could speak them. And he could look at me like, how do you know? And I would like, I'm just on a phone call.
No, I just did some lyrics. I was just singing along with such a rap poem. I'm just listening to some, yeah.
But imagine that if we had that notion like, maybe we are the catalyst to this scene. What's my line? What's the thing that will change everything?
I don't think it will surprise you to hear that I aim to live my life in that every day.
Oh.
That like that everywhere, that notion, like that valve.
Yeah.
And that recognition of like, I'm the songs, I'm the valve, I'm the bean field, like I'm the water. And so
I never went there.
Yeah,
That's
let's go
wild.
there, right? So I feel like what happens to all of life when that valve is open.
Oh my! Well, sure enough, my soul gets watered. That's for sure. Yeah, give a healing, get a healing, because it's going through. You can't jump in that and not get wet.
Sometimes I describe, people used to ask me, like, when I would do work, like, was it exhausting? Like, holding space, like, channeling. Is, like, channeling that, like, whoosh, 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 is that, like, so exhausting? And I would say it's a little bit more like the way that I imagine gates feel when they've been open and, like, a little shaken by the current coming through. Like, whoosh, like... So if it's been a lot of, like, wind, water, current, then, like, sometimes the hinges on the gate might be a little, like, at the end of the day. But it's not like I was that force in the same way. Actually, my practice, what's required of me to be in that is to become the resilient, capable thing that can open and allow it to flow. That actually is the focus. And that is the heart. You also just described the heart of medicine calling. Right? The idea that the medicine is the water, right? Like water, we're a water planet, so that's not a stretch, right? So it's like, and so what is it to clear and open the pathways to let that medicine flow? I'm calling it, I'm summoning it, I'm making a pathway for it to enter, and doing that in my life, doing that in my craft, doing that in everything becomes for me, that's my, like, again, like my aim, target, goal. And then there's this piece of surrendering, of course. What is it? And then I kind of wonder, is like, I don't know, like, if I go like way out, you know, like just like way out, like what is it to like take away the valve, right? Like, it's like I love irrigation systems are beautiful. Our body's full of them. We're full of valves. So I don't think valves they're not the problem, you know? It's like you don't want to just pour out empty if there isn't flow coming in. Like there's this, everything is dynamic in that way. Like what allows to come, what is coming, what comes through, what's needed on the other side. Like all of that is this flowing dynamic space. Do you want to sing together?
Sure.
You want to do that thing where we listen?
Let's do that.
Let's do that. I have that like, I really have.
Tell
me
about the.
Yeah, well, I have the image. What I'm seeing right now is that that bean field, like being inviting in that wisdom that you were talking about of. I'm the dry bean field, and like the my sweet listeners, you darlings, like with us right here, like what we're thirsty, and that feeling that comes up in my heart is that. And I've had it, so many of us have it, is that like, I can do that. I can open the valve. I can let some water come through. Like, let me, oh, that's like so deep. Like, let me have a chance, to let it come through. Just that's like a prayer, right? To myself. That's like, that like loops back to the beginning we were talking about of like letting go of the.
I'm so curious
stories.
about the thing that moved the tears in that moment of let it be me. Tell me more about that. Let it be me. Let it be me who's brave enough. Let it be me who's brave enough to feel all the tears, feel all the hope inside for the one I'm hoping I might be. But to be the one I want to carry, who is the one to carry me? And if I were as open as I want to be, there would be nothing left of me. Nothing left of me. All that I can open to see is the fear that I am holding somehow might be just the excitement of what's so close to me. To open to what I could really see. Feel the phrase that wants to come. Feel the fear that stands right there. And then sing just a word or two or more. It goes like this.
I can see across the way.
Across the way.
I can know your heart
from here.
I can feel
all
your dreams
cracking like a birthing egg.
I know your soul is real.
Your soul is real. Now that rhymed and it was gorgeous, and I want to hold it forever. But the holding it would stop the sacred flow. So the brave thing to do would be to open say this song I don't know, 'cause it goes
I know where I'm going. I've always been going there. I was born on the path. I am made of the path. I am all that I need and more.
all that I need.
I have come for you. I have come for me.
See this as
I have come all this way like before, and I love you even more. I say I love you even more.
And when your voice cracks, it's like what Leonard Cohen said. Of course it cracks 'cause the light needed a path to travel on. So when the voice cracks open, we can feel the song that's sung in the gaps of what we couldn't hold. It's the song that cracks open our soul. Thank you, Sophia. I so love doing that with you. My experience is when I'm making up a song, I sing better than ever. And I heard you really send your voice. And my experience of it is the emotional urgency reminds us of hey, watch out for that, And so we put ourselves in that frame of mind. It's so nice.
Oh, what a treasure. What a treasure of existence. Yeah, well, if I'm just so bold, I can say I can feel another song knocking at my heart is what's happening. That's really what's happening.
Let's do it.
It's really what's happening. It's this, it's the call. It's the, yeah. Oh, now it's deeper. I can feel it even deeper. It's down the anterior of my pelvic bowl, the front of my root, the, we'll listen.
You don't have to know the line. You just have to know the sound, the vowels.
It's true. You're right. It's true. You're right. You're right. Oh, Dave, you're right. Oh, it's so true.
Start if all yeah, you know.
Yeah. You look over your shoulder. You wanna know they're coming with you. You look over your shoulder. Wanna know they want to come too.
Are they still here?
Are they coming? Do they want to? Do I have to leave them behind? I know where I'm going.
Who would I be? Could they still see the friend in me if I were to travel over the mountain, away from the valley, the one that they knew of me? Could they still see me and know I care?
I've given you everything I could.
Everything.
Gave you everything I was. Turns out there's nothing left of her. I'm just here now. Still I'm walking forward. Still I'm breathing, heart pushes blood. Still I'm knowing and calling and hearing and feeling and waking and dreaming still. Who am I now?
Who am I now? Who am I now?
Who am I now?
Can they somehow see the love that stays the same? They think I've changed my name. They think my eyes can see maybe a different way to be than they have ever seen before. So it's the same question. Do I dare to go alone? Would I risk the alone to finally reach my home?
Come with me.
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 Oh, my family.
We're going home. We're going home. I won't lead you anywhere but home. We're going home. We're just going home. Where nothing is love and sacred holy thrones. You are sacred, you are known. Everything you need provided and shown. You're divine, you're sacred, you're sacred, you're sacred. How many times do I need to say, you're sacred, you're sacred, you're sacred, you're sacred. As many times as I'll say, I'm sacred, I'm sacred, I'm sacred, I'm sacred. We're just made this way.
When I listen to the song from the point of view of the soul that's singing inside of you, I see the friends you're talking about are the stories you hold. About what you think you know, about where you're from and where you'll go. And your soul says those don't fit so well. So won't you follow the yearning? The road is turning, climbing slowly up the ridge to where it tips back down, and you find a brand new valley, a home that was so close, closer than the breath you breathe. And it says You so good.
Oh, darling, hand me that tissue box, would
Tissue,
you?
please. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Woo! Yeah. Woo! Oh.
That was good.
That's good. That's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good. Oh.
So there is something fascinating to me about this, the edge of not knowing, having such a wealth of emotional power. Because, it's like, if you've got like half a second before the next word, like you go to the brain and you say, brain, what rhymes with soul? The brain says, I don't know. Leave me alone. I'm not good at this.
I got nothing.
So you say, anyone else? And the heart says, roll. And you say, that's the word.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's my favorite state of being, Dave. It's my favorite. It happens to me when I'm teaching too. And often it happens to me on the show where it's like this, like it opens and I'm finding out the words at the same time as everybody else is. It's like, let's find out together what's happening. Yeah, it really. I have a funny story. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about. I just taught a webinar on how to manifest, and one of the things that came through was one of the things that keeps us from allowing what we're asking for to come in is not having space for it. Just like not literally not giving it a room in the house, like not giving it, space. And so one of the ways that we can do that is by decluttering and letting go, cleaning. I think about the most classic tool, witch's tool, is a broom.
Oh, right. I never thought about that.
Sweeping. Scooch, sweep it out. And so if nothing else, this is like a take home, right? If nothing else, like when you're feeling stuck, like sweep your house and sweep all of that, like out, literally, like sweep it out the door. And I had this one time where I was really at my edge. It was early. I think it was when I was doing a lot of activism around fracking in Philadelphia. It was during the Occupy movement. And I still, when I go by City Hall in Philadelphia, I go, this is where we used to live. But I had this one day where I hit that heartbreak wall. And I went back. This was when I had first built the West Philly Red Tent Temple. And I went back to this room and I wept. And I was just torn asunder. And I was like, tell me what the fuck to do. Because I will not stay here and like casually participate in this behavior. I was like, you need to tell me exactly what to do and for optimal impact. And that's when my prayer became optimal impact. I was like, I will stick here, but like it's got to be for the realest optimal impact place. And I was like, I was in that place. I was like, I'll be a lawyer. I'm like, what? No. I was like, I'll be a school teacher. I'll burn myself on the lawn. I'll like whatever it is. Like, what do you want me to do? And out of the quiet, I heard, hire a business coach. And I was like, so anticlimactic, Like I was like, I'm ready to like take me. And it's like, okay, so we'd like you to, and so I learned as I went along that was all about messaging, right? That was all about like broadcasting, all about just like another way, another piece of finding a community, like being a messenger, is what that was about.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, not the story I thought I was telling. So all of this has been going on. I hired a business manager. I was doing all this like business development stuff. And I was just at this edge of my, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm a hippie. I don't want to learn marketing. Like, just this like, just edge and also like just deep heart. I was in my Reiki master apprenticeship with my teacher. So I was just doing deep contemplations on what is commitment, what's integrity, what's coherency, and I spent 3 days cleaning my house. 3 days. Like scrubbing floor, like sorting, cleaning. And on the third day, halfway through the third day, I was sweeping and I burst into tears. And I heard, I'm a channel. And that was a term that I was very familiar with when I was a kid, like growing up in that world. It was like, oh, channeling messages, being a channel, like sure, yada, yada. But I had really kind of pushed that aside in my 20s, and I had cleaned, and in that space that I had made, there I was, weeping, of just being like, I'm a channel. That's like who I am. That's what I am. That is, which again, in this heart of our conversation, that it's like, so is everybody else. Like, it's like, I'm not a channel doesn't mean, it's like, I'm also a human. Like everybody else who, associates with being a human can also be a human. But for me, it was this kind of huge reclamation. And I think in a lot of ways that moment, which was, I don't know, 8 years ago now or so, there's something about that right now in this moment with you in this space, touching back into that, singing, speaking, what you could, refer to, that channeling space of coming back to, and me being like, oh, that's my favorite. Just being like, like, yeah. And that stories in my head, like begging the stories, the part of me that's like, and I don't want to shrink that deeper soul home that kind of was coming out of the home into saying like, that's being a channel. I don't want to do that. I'm not trying to do that. And inside that space, I'm safe and I'm allowed to be a channel that's easy in that home, in that well. And it's one of the things that in the past has fooled me into thinking I had to leave myself, was that I couldn't, that conflict.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I do love that idea of, like when you're a kid and you're playing with the mud after it rains. If you want to make the water flow over here, you just move what's not where it should be. You move. Yeah. You clean. You make a space. Yeah. Suddenly you got a river.
And a channel.
Yeah.
A little water channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
that was fun. Thank you.
That was fun. I feel like we're like in that place. I have 2 closing questions. You feel there for it?
Yeah, sure.
The first is, we just jumped right in. David Wilcox, everybody. Where, obviously, like everyone right now, there's a moment in time in the spring of 2020 where touring is not the landscape. Dave has been touring for over 30 years and sharing and blessing and watering the bean fields. And, God willing, you will be soon enough again. So do people find your touring schedule on your website?
DavidWilcox.com.
Yeah. And then Dave also does a bunch of other magical things like musical medicine, writing you a song, and other things like that. Is there any like place or particular thing that you want to kind of mention, invite people to, or point people towards?
What would the deep marketer in me want to say?
The true deliverer of the message of creating an opening, if there's something in you to give.
That's a fascinating question. It's a weird thing, because if I say that what I do is music, I would be very suspicious of it. It doesn't seem like music is going to work for what I want to do. But I don't know what else to call it. And it is kind of fun to have that sort of playful kind of facade of like, I'm just going to play some songs. This won't hurt a bit. But I think that there's something here about what would I want to send out if I were welcoming people to my music. It's a fascinating thing. I have memories of that same question when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. And it has changed a lot. At first, I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be acknowledged. It feels like being known was in there, being respected. But I think the showing up honestly is what has become the most valuable to me. And that's kind of the opposite of like rehearsing your set and doing your shtick. It's the coming out on stage and sort of feeling that awkward silence. And when the awkwardness gets awkward enough, you just kind of say, "Welp, guess I'm going to say something." So that has been the real blessing. And I love when people show up expecting not a show, not a performance, you know, but that same kind of waiting that I practice when I'm writing, that same kind of, we have to kind of wish for more, wish for some spectacular thing to happen here. Even though it's just some old guy with a guitar and a voice, you know, we've heard that. But there is something we haven't heard. There is something that has been whispering to us and hasn't quite got our attention. And that's the thing that we're all coming to hear. And so now when I show up to play music, I want that. And so that's very different than the way music is marketed. That's
yeah, sure.
like, what's the thing that you have, Dave? Well, it's not a thing.
It's not mine, and I can't. It's like, just yeah, you know, but people know.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, when you try to put it in that language, immediately it becomes very suspect. Like if I heard somebody describe their music like I just described mine, I would say, "Yeah, right."
Right. Yeah, I can imagine you, Dave. I can imagine you're like, you would just like, you'd be so deadpan. That would be your most respectful contribution to that conversation. Would be so silence.
Yeah, and speaking of that, sometimes very sincere young songwriters come to me and they say, you were my biggest influence, and all I want to do is write songs that I want to just be you. And I just think, no.
Don't do it.
So it's a very weird thing, and you know, I've had mystic teachers. I've had people who are like barely on the planet, real beautiful souls, and those really great teachers, they make themselves hard to find, and they don't boil it down to a little thing. And so when you're telling somebody about it, you know, they say, "Well, what do you like about this teacher of yours?" Yeah. There's nothing to say. So that's all very fascinating. But that's when I ask myself, so what's the marketing pitch for this?
That's what happened.
This is what happened.
Sure. I literally almost didn't ask you. I literally was like, do I just cut this question out? I loved what you shared though. You know, yeah, I do though. It's a real, everybody, you know, and it's funny when you talk about that, because I think about the right relationship on the path and how there's like everybody, like there gets to be everybody everywhere and we bump into them. So there's the teacher who like boils, like I think about Louise Hay. We said so many things today that were like ping, like Louise Hay, like she has a the movies of my mind are beautiful because I choose to make them so. You know, and so it's like you have this like gorgeous song, and then it's like Louise Hay, like this is someone who's like just spent her whole life like translating these like, you know, these things, you know, and then there are these people that like nobody knows how to find them or where they are, or I know I have people like that in my life that like who I call for counsel, and it's like no, you know, no, they don't have a website, you know what I mean, like that's like not a thing, you know. And so there's this like this perfect kind of, it's, I think I see a web, of course I would see a web, you know, of like the intricacies of that. Okay, I'm gonna move us to rapping.
I'm gonna have one more little thing.
No, you're gonna have one more little thing, and then we're gonna move to rapping.
I love the example of the tea house practice, you know, in Buddhism.
The one example of the tea house practice?
Well, like,
please keep going.
If the teacher wants to be sort of hidden, you know, he will just open up a tea house. He's not like putting any sign on the wall that says Buddhist teacher.
Right.
And like somebody comes for the tea and they're like looking around like, what am I feeling?
Happening, right.
You know, and they come back and so the joke is like, is the tea good? Something's good. I think it's the tea.
But I just keep coming back. Yeah. I immediately think of actual places in my life too. Like it's like, oh yeah, and an actual tea house in Philadelphia too. Shout out to the random tea house when things open back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Thanks, Teach.
Thanks, y'all.
Well, and so I'll say one more thing about that, which is I'm really, really big about that in terms of like when I work with people like medicine callers, that the idea that every medicine caller is supposed to lead ceremony and that's the way that they contribute to the community is like I'm like, no, that is not the point at all. Like not now. Maybe there was a time where that role was just taken by one person in the community, but we're on a planet and in a place right now where really everybody, if not most people, I think are being called to understand and cultivate what it is to open those floodgates of water, to be that, you know. And so the tea house, the clothing designer, I'm just going to list artists because that's all I ever think about. I'm like, do other people do anything? The insurance. Other people are real. You're totally real. You're totally real. The insurance underwriters, the bankers, like the people who are kind of making these decisions, policymakers, like that, they are, each role has the potential to be a medicine role, right? So whether they're running a tea shop or a clothing shop or a government infrastructure or building a physical house or tending a land or doing any of those things, like that's actually that's kind of what I'm obsessed with, right? Is like helping cultivate and give the skills that you give to a trained medicine caller to people so that they know how to apply to do that deep listening, because all of that same listening and translation occurs when you're making tea, when you're making food, when you're creating policy, when you're, leading a corporate industry, or you're doing manufacturing, or you're tending the planet, or you're educating, right? This whole massive space of how we're tending and educating. And so, so that understanding of like, I believe in a world, I'm answering my last question. I'm going to give it to you in a second. So it's like, I believe in a world where that feeling that you're talking about walking into that tea shop and like, is it the tea or is it the space, that like literally every landscape that we walk into is created with the care and the space and the presence, so that when we're I love shopping at this grocery store. I love getting gas at this. Well, we won't have gas. I love getting my resources at this resource place. Fill in the blank. Like, what that is. Like that's the world we live in. Mm-hmm. That it's like, is it this? Is something's good? Yeah. Only that's everywhere we are. So that's I answered my last question, but my question for you is where we're going. I'm like committed, right? There's a million options where we could end up at any point, and I'm committed to choosing where I'm going and kind of what reality I'm creating and co-creating. That new earth, that new paradigm, that new place that we are emerging into now. What does it look like, taste like, sound like? Like, what's a sign that we know when it's here, when we're in it, when it's happening?
Well, the thing that drops in for me with that question right now is it's a funny kind of a subtle answer, because with a shift that I have control over, I can be in that world. I can be all the way there.
Boom!
And the weird part is, you know, if I'm looking for the world to change, oh, that's going to hurt. And obviously it is beautiful to be passionate about changing all that needs to change. But how to do it and stay full and stay inspired. And another sort of tea house practice. People come to my friends Danny and Catherine. Danny Dreyer has created this thing called Chi Running with his beautiful wife, Catherine. And at first, runners come to him and they say, I want to run faster. How do I run faster? What do I need to work at? What do I need to get stronger at? And Danny's whole method is like, oh, you want to run faster? Well, let's see. Find the conflicts in you that are slowing you down and relax them. And so people start feeling the results, and when they're in balance and they're not fighting themselves. And after a while, they come to Danny and they say, this isn't about running, is it? And Danny will get a little smile.
Don't tell nobody.
Tell those Americans that they can do something and they'll really get into it, you know. But little by little, what he's teaching them is all those things that you were doing was what was slowing you down.
Yes.
So the fascinating part for me about the world that I'm living in, it is that wonderful, misunderstood, overlooked, paradoxical thing about the kingdom of heaven is here. And it's not a spiritual bypass. It's not a pretend that everything's good. It's a bearing the sorrow and opening to all that. And I know the words don't do it, but it is a shift that is practicable. It is an actual physiological decision. It is a point in time where I can sort of say, I'm going there. Do I want to go there? No, I want to go here. How do I make the shift? Present moment. Oh, and the world is different. So the fascinating part is every time something shows up that takes me out of that beauty, every time something shows up that I perceive takes me out of that beauty,
you jump on.
That's the very thing that is there on a silver platter to show me, hey Dave, how are you resisting what is? And if instead of fighting that thing that I assume is knocking me off my path, if I instead sort of say, oh, it's my teacher. Oh, look, you're showing up as adversity. You coyote. Oh, tell me, what's the thing that I'm resisting? And then let myself feel it. Oh, yeah, I don't want to feel like that. I'm resisting that emotion. So I come to that same place in me with tenderness and curiosity and just say, so how is this shaping the story that I'm telling about what's real? And then with that curiosity and that tenderness, the thing that I thought was like a force, an adversary, already shifts, and it already becomes a teacher, and I'm in the new world, and everything's, full of flow and purpose and beauty and wonder. And I know all those words sound like just ridiculous, and they're true.
Yeah, right, exactly. They sound ridiculous and they're true. Or they don't sound ridiculous. The root of ridiculous is laughable. So, I can get behind that. And may it be laughable, which, Oh,
Yeah.
Dave.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much. Thanks
That
for
was
being
fun.
with us. And if this is your first time catching this wave right here, this is a live recording of my podcast called Medicine Caller. And you can find that on all the platforms. And love to see you. Go ahead, write comments here. I'll be swinging back around and checking them out. And yeah, I think I'll say, I just want to say thank you so much. And and I want to let everybody know I'm moving the show to every week. We are in a time up in the dosage around here. That's what's happening. Up in the dosage around here. We're gonna keep this dream stream flowing. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So be well, loves. Take care. Know that I love you. That I appreciate you. I love it when you reach out to me. You're so welcome to do that. And yeah. Love to all, light to all, and peace to all. Satnam. Bye, guys.
Peace.